Begin by removing the trunk trim panel rivets using a trim panel tool. You'll only have to remove the clips along the edge of the trunk lid, green arrows. Then unscrew and open the toolkit, yellow arrow. To remove the trunk trim panel rivets, pry the center out of the rivet using a trim panel tool and remove the rivet from the trim panel. Next, remove the small plastic cover located inside the handle on the left side of the trunk lid, green arrow. Then remove the Phillips head screw under the cover, yellow arrow. Now you have to unclip the 4 trim panel clips that run along the bottom of the plastic trim panel, green arrows. This photo shows the locations of the clips already detached from the trunk lid. Use a trim panel tool to release the clips. Lever out the trunk light lens using a flathead screwdriver. Then disconnect the electrical connector, green arrow, by pulling it straight out of the light. Remove the carpet panel on the trunk lid. Remove the 4 Phillips head screws, green arrows. Then disconnect the trim panel clips at each corner, yellow arrows. Pull the carpet trim away from the trunk lid. Remove the 3 T30 Torx screws, green arrows, that mount the trunk latch to the trunk. Pull the latch out from the inside panel. It is not going to come all the way out until you unplug the electrical connector, green arrow, and unhook the linkage, green arrow on the left, from the latch. Squeeze the connector and pull it straight away from the latch. Once the latch is out, we're going to plug this connector back in to do our testing. Twist the latch to unhook the linkage, green arrow. Now you can remove the latch. If you're going to test the electrical circuits, you can plug the latch back in. Installation is the reverse of removal if you are just replacing it. There are 4 wires that operate the latch. They are gray-green tracer wire, green arrow. It's the wire that powers up the actuator to open it. The brown wire, yellow arrow, is the ground wire for the latch. The gray-brown tracer, blue arrow, is the latch position switch that goes to the body module, GEM. The white-brown tracer is the wire that controls the trunk-mounted lights. The wire colors mentioned here apply to the vehicle I was working on. I suggest having an up-to-date wiring diagram on hand when diagnosing. This way you are sure you are on the right wires. The light in the trunk will be on. You can use a screwdriver to move the latch to the closed position. The trunk light should go off at this point. This is the trunk latch in the closed position, lower red arrow. Notice the position of the actuator on the latch is moved all the way in, upper red arrow. Push the trunk release button on the outside of the trunk. For testing the trunk release button, please follow the link provided at the end of this video for additional assistance with that task. If the trunk latch is working properly, the latch will move to the unlock position, lower red arrow, as a result of the actuator, upper red arrow, extending. You can test the manual trunk key switch, red arrow, as you turn the key from the lock to the unlock. The linkage should move left to right. The manual trunk key switch has 3 wires to signal the body module, GEM, when someone has locked or unlocked the trunk. The body module will also lock or unlock all of the doors of the car when you do this. The brown-blue tracer, green arrow, changes voltage when the key is either in the lock or unlock position. The brown-yellow tracer will change voltage only in the unlock position. The red-black tracer is the voltage supply for the switch. The wire colors mentioned here apply to the vehicle I was working on. I suggest having an up-to-date wiring diagram on hand when diagnosing. This way you're sure you're working the right wire. Here we have the red lead of our meter in the power supply for the actuator and the black lead of our meter in the ground wire. In order to get any solenoid to function, you need to supply a power to the ground. During this test, be sure your test leads do not touch each other or you could blow a fuse. You can push the trunk release switch again and measure the voltage to the actuator. Don't be surprised if the voltage does not go all the way to battery voltage, and that is okay. We have now moved our red test lead to the white-brown tracer, trunk illumination, with the latch in the open position. The wire is switched to ground through the latch. Notice how the meter says about 0 volts. Keep in mind the black lead is still attached to the brown wire. The wire colors mentioned here apply to the vehicle I was working on. Again, double check your wiring colors. Use a screwdriver to close the latch, lower red arrow, and if the illumination switch in the latch is working, it will open and you will measure about 12 volts on the wire, upper red arrow. This is a good switch. The logic is if the trunk latch is open, the wire will go to ground and turn on the trunk light. If the latch is closed, the circuit will open and the trunk light will go off. We have now moved our red test lead to the gray-brown tracer. This is the wire that tells the body module if the trunk latch is closed or not. This way, if the trunk is open, it can warn the driver with a message in the instrument cluster. With the latch in the open position, lower red arrow, you should measure close to 5 volts on the wire. Here we only measure 3.5 volts, but that is okay. Again, check your wire colors when doing this. When we move the latch to the lock position with our screwdriver, lower red arrow, we will see the measured voltage drop to ground volts, upper red arrow. Keep in mind the black lead is still attached to the brown wire. The logic is when the body module sees 5 volts, it knows the trunk is open. When it sees 0 volts, it knows the trunk is closed. This is a good switch. If you want to test the manual trunk key switch, put the red lead of your meter in the red-black tracer, blue arrow, and put the black lead on ground. You can use the brown wire at the trunk latch actuator, the body of the car, not covered with paint, and the battery negative terminal for your ground connection. You should measure battery voltage. Move your red lead to the brown-blue tracer. You will see battery voltage by moving the key in either the lock or unlock position. Move the red test lead to the brown-yellow tracer, and you will see battery voltage with the key only in the lock position. The logic is when the GEM sees voltage on both wires of the switch, it knows the key is turned in the lock position. The GEM sees voltage only on the brown-blue and not on the brown-yellow. The key must be in the locked position. This is how it knows what position the key is in. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and check out another video in this series.